So today I've got a Sunday video for you, and we're going to talk about a stock that I used to own a long time ago, which was Boohoo. And today I'm going to talk about the shock news that came out on Friday that the CEO is going to be stepping down from the business. Well, a surprise because I never thought it was going to happen. It probably should have happened about a year and a half ago, but it's finally happened, and today we'll talk about what potentially could happen to Boohoo next. Hope you enjoy the video. Let's get started. So Boohoo, the fast fashion seller from the UK, did expand internationally. Didn't go very well for them, but I'm sure all of you guys are pretty aware what Boohoo is. They do own a lot of brands. If we do have a look at the brands, they own obviously the Boohoo Man, Debenhams, Pretty Little Thing. They've also got a couple of labels like Nasty Girl, Burton London, which is one that's sometimes forgot about, Oasis. So they've definitely got a lot of brands under the Boohoo name. Now, like I said, I used to own the stock. I first started buying the stock all the way back during COVID, and when the stock had a massive drop off COVID, which was nearly 40%, I ended up buying the shares. I made over 100% on the stock, made some really good money, sold out my position, and then it dropped again while there was a lot of scandals going on around potentially paying cheap labour to make some of the clothes. During that time, I did add quite often during the dips, and I was selling quite a few times for 30, 40, 50% gains during that period. However, when it got to 2021, the stock fell off a massive cliff, as you can see here, and I eventually sold the rest of the position out for around about a 70, 80% loss, which was a big stinger, meaning overall the position that I had in Boohoo ended up being a negative position by around about 30, 40%. So it was a stock that didn't really work out for me over the long term because of the big drop that it had in 2021. Now, we're going to go on the news that came out on Friday. So they did post a business update, and the headlines were a debt refinancing, the review of options to unlock and maximize shareholder value. They did a H125 trading update, and the big one, the CEO to step down. Now, it says here, the group announces that John Little has informed the board of his intention to step down as the CEO, which to me sounds like he has chosen to leave. I don't know if he was shoved. I mean, if he has chosen to leave, fair play on him. He's finally seen the light. If the case is that he stepped down, I'm still surprised Boohoo have not pushed him. He was doing an awful job at Boohoo, and he, in my opinion, I've been calling for it on the YouTube channel for probably about 12, 18 months, that he needs to leave the business. And I don't like calling for someone to lose the job, but unfortunately, when you have destroyed a company like how he has done under his leadership, and you look at the share price performance, he has to go. And it's just unfortunate that it's taken so long for that to happen. Unfortunately, that has caused a lot of damage to the Boohoo business, and if it was done a little bit quicker, maybe they would be in a better situation to try and get out of the mess they're currently in. Now the mess is a lot bigger for them to get out of. And I always say this, for someone like myself that is in this room, the office in my house, and I can see the things that a multi-billion, well, it's not a multi-billion anymore, a 370 million market cap company. If I, in this office, can see the mistakes that Boohoo are making before they are realizing it, and I can offer more solutions to fix the problem that Boohoo have than the management team that are getting paid millions, that's a big issue. You know, when I would be a better person to run this company than the current management team, that is when you have a big issue. And that's what's been happening over the last 18 months. I have been pointing out flaws of Boohoo's businesses and what they need to improve on without even Boohoo managing to react to it, which is a little bit worrying. And we'll get onto that in a little bit and what they should do going forward with the management situation and the whole business development. So they said that the company believes that the share price, the company is undervalued at the moment. I mean, I disagree, to be honest with you. You know, when you do look at the recent financials from Boohoo, your revenue's down 17%, your net income's negative, year over year, you're down 89%. I mean, what else do you expect? You know, you perform poorly. You might say, well, our brands are worth this much. I'm sorry, but if you're losing money and the losses are going up by that much and your revenue's declining by that much, there's not much to save you there. You are a struggling business, and unfortunately you've got to deal with that. You know, you've mismanaged the business for a long time, and now you're suffering for it. I think the share price is totally reflective of where the state of the business is. They do go on about some of these brands, and in my opinion, maybe they're going to look to maybe off-sell some of these brands at the moment. They do have a lot of brands, a big mixture of brands as well, some for a younger audience, some for an older audience. We'll talk about that. And maybe they sell some of the older brands off, or the brands that appeal to more of an older audience, and maybe that sell-off will generate some cash and they can strengthen the balance sheet, which is now a mess 3 years ago, this company had a very good balance sheet, and now they've got probably a 1 out of 10 balance sheet, which is obviously not great. In the trading update, once again, we just see more poor performance from the business. You look at the revenue, gross GMV down 7%, UK down 2%, US 18%, rest of the world down 21%. Revenue down 15%, adjusted EBITDA still at 21 million, but as a percentage of revenue, 3.4%. It's just all awful looking numbers, and the business is just not in a good place, and it's still not moving in a good place. Even with the thing is that when you look at last year's results, they had easy comps to try and beat, and they're still going downwards, which is definitely not what you want to see. So let's talk about where the business goes from here, because you've got a company that is declining revenue, the balance sheet's getting awful, the profit's declining, they've got no CEO now. Where does the business go? So first of all, the previous CEO, John Little, obviously is going to be leaving the business. I always thought this was a poor appointment from Boohoo. The reason why is because he used to work at Primark, and there's a big difference between working at Primark and Boohoo. Primark is, okay, they do online now, but that was only recently in the last kind of 2 years. Previous to that, they were just an in-store business only. Now, working at an in-store business to a fast fashion online retailer are two total different businesses. So straight away, I thought this was a bad appointment because it's kind of like going into two different industries here. From an in-person retailer to an online retailer is a big change. You're trying to get those stores prepared, you're trying to get those stores looking good, you're trying to get the arrangement where people are going to go past things and see things and go buy them. Whereas Boohoo is competing more in like the eyes on, the advertising, the discounts, the traffic, trying to get the website to max efficiencies. It's a lot more different, and I always thought buying someone in this, even though it's in the fashion space, there's a big difference between having a fashion company online and in person, and that was the big worry that I had. Now obviously it came in 2019, 2020, 2021 made it not look too bad because he had the COVID numbers where everybody was shopping online. We got into the opening back up and Boohoo just stayed stagnant, and he didn't adapt the business, and it's been absolutely killed from that. And what the big problem that Boohoo had is that Boohoo was trying to compete in this online fashion space, and out of nowhere they had these two new competitors come out, which was Shein and then obviously Temu, and that's absolutely killed Boohoo off. When you are a fast fashion business and people have no loyalty to that, and you have someone that comes in with a lot cheaper products than you, it's just going to swallow you up, and that's what's happened with Boohoo. And the problem with Boohoo right now is they keep doing the same things and expect different results. So right now, they're staying as an online retailer in the fast fashion space, and what you're seeing is they're still struggling because Shein and Temu are eating them up. And the example of that right now that I'll give you is, let's say if you were in Boohoo and you wanted to go get some Halloween products, a Halloween top or Halloween t-shirt or something in them sort of range. So right now, if we search here, you're looking at what, £10-ish, £14, £20. A lot of those t-shirts, and by the way, the designs are not great, by the way, I'll say that, but you are, talking about the £10, £15, £20 range. If we were to go on Shein and we were to search exactly the same thing, Halloween t-shirt, on Shein right here, your £4, £5, and you look at the designs are a lot better as well, which is a really worrying thing, that someone from China is able to address your design market a lot better than someone that's designing the UK market. But right now, you're half the price, and when your audience is going, well, you're both fast fashion products and I can go get one for £4 or £5, or I could go get one from the same from Boohoo, which the designs are a lot worse, and the £5-10 more, you're just going to get absolutely eaten up. And that's what's been happening to Boohoo in the last 2 or 3 years, and they've not adapted at all. The only thing that Boohoo has been focusing on is the media and all the questions that it has around, are they underpaying the staff? Now, Boohoo keeps paying a lot of its staff in the UK, for example, and trying to go, no, we are having this modern example of a design facility and the work facilities and paying people. Look, are we getting, I forgot what his name was now, to oversee to make sure that we're paying everyone correctly. They're focused on this so much that they're being left behind by these guys in China. They go, yeah, we don't really care what we pay our workers, and the UK government hasn't supported them at all. They've gone, yeah, Shein, you keep selling in the UK, no issues, and yet they're being absolutely slapped in the UK when they're trying to do everything properly. This is a problem sometimes with business. I mean, it's great that they're trying to make sure they're protecting everyone, make sure the company's working to the standards that should be working to, but at some point, you got to think, well, Shein are getting no consequences for their cheap labour, and we're here trying to make sure everything's working out well. You know, what point do you go, you know what, we're not going to have all our stuff created in the UK, we're going to have it created in China? You know, it's okay saying that, but when you're a bankrupt business in 2 years' time, you're going to get no rewards here. So it was par from Boohoo that they were focusing on the wrong things, and as well as that, they had the competition come in, and they just haven't adapted to them. And at the moment, Boohoo still keep doing the same things, and they're just going to continue to get eaten up by Temu and Shein. The only thing that will ever help them is if regulation comes on Shein and Temu about how they sell some of the products here. But until that happens, which I don't think will happen, until that happens, if they keep doing the same thing, I'm sorry to say, but Boohoo's in a bad place. And the fact that John Little just sat there and watched and let it all happen and didn't adapt the business at all was absolutely crazy to me. Now, looking at the brands, they've got good brands here. I think there's some really good brands that the Boohoo do have, and I believe that they have a lot of potential. The problem is that, and I'm not sure why John Little never clocked onto this, is that he's from Primark. He has good awareness in operating a physical store, and yet you go look at someone like a Primark, for example. Primark have not been affected by the rise of Shein or Temu. You know, if you ever go look at what has happened to Primark in the last 3 or 4 years, they had their revenue increase, and obviously they had the drop off during the COVID situation because obviously stores were closed, so their numbers were a little bit weak. But by 2022, the numbers had started buying back, and by 2023, revenue is higher than where it was in 2019, which is a really good sign. And obviously, Primark is owned under the name ABF, but even the profitability is even higher now as well, and they're actually got to a 5% profit margin as well. And I don't know why Boohoo and John Little there have sat there and just accepted the competition of Shein and then gone, right, at the moment we can't compete with them. On an online basis, we're both fast fashion. You know, Boohoo could claim as much as what they want, that we're a premium brand, so we'll be okay. You're not. You know, your audience is exactly the same, and all it will come down to is, can I buy a t-shirt that I like more at a cheaper price, half price? I'm going to go buy that. And as long as they keep doing this, Boohoo's going to struggle. They need to adapt the business. Why have they not looked at Primark and gone, right, Primark are not suffering from Shein and Temu. They're a physical store location, and at the moment, Shein and Temu cannot open physical stores. We've got all these brands here, okay? Why don't we go open a physical store? What we'll do is we'll open a physical store in London, Birmingham, and Manchester. 3 stores, and it won't cost you that much. In fact, it'll be a better allocation than what they've been spending the money on recently, because the money they've been spending on in the business has absolutely wrecked the balance sheet, and some of the decisions they've been making have been awful. I mean, if we look at Boohoo's balance sheet now compared to where it used to be, look at that, a really clean balance sheet, nice amounts of cash, and then boom, they've got 325 million of debt on there. They've got 230 million of cash. You know, let's use that for something actually positive, eh? So open up, you've got John Little there that's an expert in Primark. You've got all these brands. You can't compete online anymore. You can still have an online store, but why not look at Primark? Primark's been able to do very well with physical stores, and you're starting from the beginning. So imagine the hype if Boohoo are actually open up physical stores. Just open 3 up. London, Birmingham, Manchester. 3 stores, 3 mega stores. And in those mega stores, you can have all those brands. You can have a section in the store that's Pretty Little Thing. Those people like Pretty Little Thing, they go there. Boohoo Man section, you can have a Boohoo section. If you go down some of these brands here, you can have a Nasty Girl section, Burton section. You could even open up a smaller Debenhams. I mean, imagine the media attention that Debenhams is returning to the high street. You could even split it off where you have a Boohoo store and a Debenhams store. In those Debenhams stores, you have those kind of more Oasis brands, there's more Burton London brands. I don't know, that's getting a little bit ahead of things, but I don't understand with all these brands why they don't open up a Boohoo megastore and they just have 5 segments of the Boohoo, Boohoo Man, Pretty Little Thing in there. There'll be a lot of hype for it, and they could even open up a Revolution Beauty store with inside the Boohoo megastore because they have ownership in there. There's so much potential, and I don't understand why they've just sat there and just carry on it going, yeah, I mean, if we keep doing what we're doing, we might be able to beat Shein and Temu. You can't. You can't do it. You have to adapt the business, and you might as well roll the dice here, and you've got to change the business fundamentally. And I don't understand why they don't, even if it wasn't 3 stores, even 2 stores, Manchester and London one, see what the tension is, see if the stores manage to get up to profitability. Primark can do it. I don't see why Boohoo can do it, and see if they can do it as a physical retailer. I don't understand why they don't adapt the business now, because if they keep doing the same thing, it's not going to end well for them. They've got to adapt. At the moment, they're just going to get eaten up by Shein and Temu. The only thing that's going to save them is regulation. Unless that happens, they're going to be in a bad place and they're going to continue to lose money. Now, it might take them a couple of years to go bankrupt as they lose 30 million a year, 10 million a year, whatever it is. They might as well they've got a 200 million cash pile there, throw 50 million into this project and see if it works. That's my opinion. And at least then there's something to get excited about. They can actually talk about, if it is successful, they could talk about, look at our growth in these stores. And there's at least a segment of the business that looks good there. Because right now, you go down every segment of the business and it's all poor reading. So you might as well give the market and investors something to look forward to, a little bit of hope. They've got to roll the dice now. They've got to roll the dice, in my opinion, because if they keep doing what they're doing, it's not going to work out for them. So we'll see what happens anyway. So that's the video for today on Boohoo, guys. I think that they're in a bad place and will continue to be a bad place as long as they operate like this. And something needs to change. I've been saying it for the last year and a half. And like I said, Boohoo, if you want to get me in to help you out here, I'll come work for you and I'll come sort it out. But hey, until then, it doesn't look very good for them anyway, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in a bit.